Hello, everybody. Welcome. We'd like to begin shortly. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us today. We are truly honored by your presence and welcoming you to City Hall. Today, we're going to discuss El Sereno. We are thrilled to provide you with the information on this upcoming development featuring 1 and 2 bedrooms. My name is Karen Esparza. I'm with High Ridge Costa, and excuse me. Can you hear me now? My name is Karen Esparza, and I'm with High Ridge Costa. We've partnered with Casa Linda to bring a wonderful opportunity to Cibolo. El Sereno will bring you common areas such as fitness center, sparkling pool, grand community clubhouse with a kitchen, common area Wi-Fi, relaxing walking path, and more. I want to make sure that everybody has these flyers here. These flyers will provide you with all the information that we are going to give to you today. Is there anybody that does need one? Great. Once again, thank you so much for being here today. It is my true honor to introduce you to UAH. They're the management company. Twyla and Carissa would be happy to discuss all the information here and give you further details on the application process for El Sereno. Thank you so much.
Good evening, everybody. I'm not as eloquent as Karen. I'm not used to being up in front of crowds, so pardon me if I get nervous or stumble a little bit, but we are so excited about this development and the opportunity to provide affordable housing for the Cibolo area. Clearly, based on the length of our interest list, it is a much needed thing in this area, so we're very excited about the opportunity to do that. We know that it's been in the works for a very long time. Many of you have been on the interest list for over a year, and it is over 300 people long at this point. So it is going to be something that we're going to manage the process. It has been kept in chronological order, so the order that your name was taken is the order that you'll be given preference to secure a home. Pardon me. Construction is coming along. I'm sure that a lot of you have driven by and you've seen how it's blossoming and it's really taking shape. It's going to be absolutely beautiful. We would ask that you don't go exploring because it is dangerous still. It is a construction site. There are OSHA frowns upon it. We like to be safe, and so if you really are interested in what the finishes are going to be, we'll be providing information as soon as we have that available. The website will be updated frequently. Application intake. So this is the big topic, and how this is going to work. So 75 days in advance of the building and the units being released for move-in. Can everybody hear me? Okay. 75 days in advance of the building being released for occupancy, which we are hoping is at the end of November. We're going to start calling people on the interest list in the order that they appear. And we're going to be grouping those in batches of 50 people. If we don't reach you personally, you have a couple of days to go ahead and catch back up with us. You can email us. We'll email you if we have your email address. If we don't have your email address, please fill out one of the cards or be sure that you get it to Carissa or Tamara or myself this evening, because it's very easy to communicate to a large group in an email blast as opposed to making 300 phone calls. So not that we haven't done it, because I think that all of you have probably spoken with Carissa at one point or another, but it'll help us keep you informed. And communication is going to be very important. So when we do call, You'll have a window of time to respond. It is unlikely that we will be taking the appointments in the building itself at that time. When the CO happens, that's when we'll have the clubhouse and the office. So we're currently seeking a suitable location where we can hold appointments, where you can come, fill out your application, provide your paperwork to us, and get that process rolling. We're probably going to have a team of people that's going to be handling this. We anticipate that it's not going to take more than 2 weeks to take in all of the applications for the units. When we do contact you, we're going to do some qualifying. We're going to talk about your preferences, what you're looking for, what you would be approved to live in, and try and meet your needs as best as possible. And you'll be given basically a placeholder. So we'll tell you what your unit number is going to be at that time. It's not permanently secured, though, until you come in and you fill out that application and you get approved. So that's going to be very important to keep that in mind. Bring the information. It's entirely possible we might get you approved on the spot. Selection criteria, that is still in the works. We will be putting that out on the website, and we'll also be sharing it with you when we call you for the appointment. So that's kind of the application process. Again, we'll be contacting everybody. We're going to do the first round of the intake appointments, and then if there are any units left after that round, we'll continue down the wait list. Once all of the units are spoken for, how the process will work is we will reach back out to everybody, and if you want to remain on the wait list for any new vacancies that might occur in the future, then we would keep your name on the list, and we'll be monitoring that going forward. Beyond that, 30 days prior to when we think we're going to get the certificate of occupancy and approved for people to move in, we're going to be reaching out to you. And this would likely, and again, hopefully be in the month of December, but we're going to be scheduling move-in appointments as well. Those will be given preference based on the order that your application is approved. So, for instance, if I assign you Unit 101 and you're the first person approved, we're going to have a calendar set. So when we call you to say, what day in December would you like to move in? You would say, gosh, I think the 15th is going to work for me. Because it's a single structure building and it has multiple levels and there's 2 elevators, we're going to be reserving blocks of time for people to use the elevators. So there's not a traffic jam, and it'll just go much more smoothly. So the elevator time is going to be limited. It'll probably be 4-hour blocks 3 times a day. And so we'll be scheduling appointments for that as well. So that's kind of what we know at this point. This covers a lot of the information that you probably have questions about. If you have written down any questions, Carissa, if you'll pass them to the center of the aisle, Carissa's going to collect those, and we'll go through them and try and answer whatever we can. Yes, sir.
How many units are there?
There's 136.
136? But is that just for the senior living?
It's all 55 and older.
But that's just for the senior living, correct? Because is there another additional 119 for just as residential?
No. The total development is 136 units.
136.
Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am.
Once you're notified and you're let us know that we have an artery
Yes, ma'am.
and that you definitely have an apartment. We're giving you this apartment. You're not going to take it back. But I need to let my apartment that I'm living in, I need to let them know 60 days. So how does that work?
We're going to try our very best to get the information out as quickly as possible about those. There's going to be individual and specific circumstances that we will work through with people. Our goal is to have it filled within the first 30 days. Hopefully, we'll have a definitive date, 75. Like when we start calling, we should know that that's going to be happening. And when we review the criteria for approval with you, generally people know if you're going to be approved or not. It's you know, if there's some things that go wonky or crazy, we'll work through those on an individual basis. But you should have ample time to give notice if it's required. Oh, I'm so sorry. She was asking about what once the unit is assigned and it is assigned to you and you've been approved, what happens if you have to give your current landlord a 60-day notice or whatever the notice period is. We're going to work with people on making sure we're not going to jeopardize your rental history. We would expect the same respect toward us. We would never, ever, ever do that. So we'll work with people on specific requirements. Yeah.
How do you know where you are on the list?
That's not something. It's you'll be contacted in the order that you appear on the list. So it's not something that you're necessarily going to know. We'll just be we'll be contacting you.
Income restrictions.
Somebody had asked about the income restrictions for the tax credit requirements. We're going to be releasing those on our website as well. We don't have that information because sometimes the utility allowances change. So we're going to put that out there closer to the time that we'll be taking an application. So you'll have advance notice of that. And I do encourage everybody to visit our website frequently because we will be updating information as we have it.
I understand that there are 130 plus units. How many of those units are available to those of us that maybe make more than the required or federal requirement?
16. Yes.
Only hookup.
Oh, I'm so sorry. So yeah, I'm not very good at this. So she was asking about for applicants or interested people who do not meet the tax credit income limits, how many apartments are going to be available to people who make more than the maximum allowable, and that's going to be 16. She was asking. He had asked how many apartments there were in the development. 136.
Do you have any idea what the rents are yet, or what people will be paying, like trash or water or like that?
Actually, I do not have that information at this time. And again, we'll be doing an email blast. We'll be updating the website. And so we want to be sure that we have the most current information because when a utility allowance changes, then the amount you might pay could go up or down. So we want to be sure that we're giving you good information. So we don't want to do that prematurely.
Also, will you have the Section 8 guidelines at that time?
We don't. It's not a Section 8. That's going to be right. Absolutely, yeah. So a transient voucher, a portable voucher. Yes, we do accept that. Yes, ma'am.
So the type of property that you're building is a tax credit property with rental assistance on it, or is it just tax credit? I don't, what, so does somebody with a minimum income qualify for your units? Like my mother makes, I don't know, I'm just giving you a number, let's say $900 a month. Would that be something that would qualify? It's a tax credit property, but does it have the rental assistance? I think
There's no subsidy on the property.
No.
If your mother has a housing choice voucher through the Public Housing Authority, she can bring that voucher, because it's a portable voucher, to the property, and we would accept that.
so. Do you have to make 2.5 times?
We do have a minimum income, which is 2 times the monthly rent.
And you don't have those monthly rents yet?
We're not gonna have them yet until our utility allowance is developed.
Right. Yeah, no, I understand. That's why we tried to limit it to the cards. So I'm gonna start reading off the questions that were on the cards instead of calling out, because there's a whole group of people in the back that can't hear. So the first question was, do you accept or offer rental assistance? We do accept rental assistance as the part of the voucher program. We do not offer rental assistance. So that's, yes, it is 100% tax credit, and it does not have a contract for subsidy. Is a washer and dryer included? I believe we have connections. Is that correct? Yes, we have washer dryer connections in the units. I believe that was a misprint. I did not catch that. I apologize. I don't know. I'm hoping none. Can we call and see where we are on the list? Again, we're not really divulging that information. We just want to work through everything, because not everybody that if you find out that you're number 150 and you say, oh, I'm not gonna get a home, and you kind of give up on it. Well, what if 20 people decide that they don't want to live there too? So we don't want to discourage anybody and have that be overwhelming. So that's kind of the reasoning behind that. Are you able to pick your unit? That is going to depend upon the inventory at the time when we make initial contact with you. Again, we'll discuss your preferences, what you're looking for. Do you want to be on the top floor? Do you want to be near the main entry? Is there, do you want to be close to the elevator? Those are all things that we'll go through at that time with you, and we'll determine what is the best unit that will meet your needs. Oh, yes. No, ma'am. She was asking about the income requirements. So let me just say, the way this is going to work, and the tenant selection criteria will be published, but there will be a minimum income requirement, and that is going to be based on a ratio of rent to income. That has not been determined at this time what that's going to be. Historically and traditionally, and within our portfolio that we manage, it's anywhere from 2 times the monthly rent amount as an income to 2.5. So those are kind of the minimum standards that generally apply. Again, that has not been determined. There is also a maximum amount that you cannot exceed. Those are going to be published as well, and we'll have those up on the website. We've been developing it and working on it, so we'll probably within the next 30 days they'll be on there. This gentleman was asking about when rent limits and tenant selection criteria are going to be available on the website, and I would say that it's going to be within the next 30 days. Can I know if I'm in the first 136 calls? Again, we don't want to discourage anybody, but we'll make an announcement. Again, we'll do an email blast to everybody and say, we're going to start calling, and then we'll move forward from then, depending upon response.
They did say that it's going to be non-smoking.
Right. The question is, okay. The question is this a smoking facility? No, the interior area of the building, we will not have smoking permitted. Those are repetitive. How do you term? Okay. So this is published by TDHCA? Okay.
The other question that they had was the tenant paid utilities. It's electric only, so owners will pay
Water, sewer, and trash. Okay. Good to know. Somebody had asked a question about what your responsibility is going to be for utilities, and the owners will be paying for water, sewer, and trash at the property, so your responsibility would be electric, internet, cable, those kinds of things. How do you determine the maximum allowable levels for income? Those are published by TDHCA, which is the state agency that regulates the tax credit program. It is based on median income for a specific area, and so we just go by the guidelines that they publish for us. Will we be able to view the apartments prior to opening? There is the potential that we can do that. It would be a hard hat tour kind of situation. That's unlikely. That when we get the CO, that's when we're going to know. But if you're planning on seeing the unit before you apply and put down your deposit and you're approved, that is not going to be happening. So it's going to be a sight unseen kind of thing. Yes, ma'am. We're trying to stick to the cards, but I'll get back to you just a second. Somebody had asked about the rent on the units that the 16 market rate, we consider those market rate apartments. We don't know what that's going to be at this time. So, how many floor plans for the 2-bedroom? There is the single floor plan design. So when on this brochure, these are the 2 layouts that there are going to be in the building. Okay? I haven't seen that.
That's the same.
So this is the original. That would be the corner, but those are going to be very few.
I don't think they heard you.
There is a corner style that is not on here, as that is an atypical unit. There's probably going to be a total of 12 of those. So we'll try and get some more information like this and get that out to you. Somebody was saying that if they don't hear back from us within the 2-day deadline, will they be bumped down on the list? I can assure you we will be calling everybody back once we make an appointment and schedule a time to call and for you to come in and take an appointment. The what?
We don't have permanent I returned 130 calls this past weekend. And we have, I mean, it's difficult right now because we don't have staff in place. We have an answering service. I have some skeleton staff calling people back if you leave a message on the service. It's usually Lisa, and I'm sure everybody's talked to Lisa. Or and I try to call back too. But if I get something through the website, I have a standard email that I send to everyone. I apologize if any calls have fallen in between the cracks, but we're taking an average of 500 calls a month for this property. So again, I apologize if any are dropped, but we are trying really hard. Now the difference is once we start this process, we will have we'll have permanent staffing in place just to do this. Okay.
What is included, what is not included? Right, this is asking about the transportation. So there's a question regarding the transportation and what is going to be included with that and what is not. That is going to be something that we'll determine based on feedback from the residents. Generally speaking, I have a couple of properties that I oversee where we do have transportation available. That is, we take people out a couple of times a week to go to the grocery store or to doctor visits, but it's not an unlimited thing. Oh, okay. This is, we need that.
There's a lady with a question.
There's a lady with a question.
No.
I don't know about covered parking. Yes.
The city pays through ACOG for transportation if they need to go to doctor's appointments and stuff.
Oh, okay.
So we'll post that number on the website when we post the video.
Okay. So the city is going to be providing transportation, and they're going to provide that information on the website with a phone number. So
It's actually through ACOG, the Alamo Area Council of Governments. But we'll post the number on the website when we post the video.
this one is, will there be more senior apartment buildings by this company in the future? Gosh, I hope so. There's clearly a need. Actually, it's a process that the state actually provides allocations, and they do approvals, and they grant the developers the means and the ways to build these developments. And we love to partner, especially in new deals. It's very exciting, so I hope so. But it's kind of a long process, and it's very competitive because there is such a great need for affordable housing, and it's not just this area, but it's the entire state of Texas. It's very expensive to live in this day and age. So we specialize in affordable housing. We love to see new developments and to bring those to the areas where it's needed. And I know that High Ridge Costa and Casa Linda, they are very proud and community aware, and they build exceptionally beautiful, high quality, and really a home that you will be proud to live in. So nothing would make me happier than if the state said, here, they can build 15 more. We'd fill them up like that. Mm-hmm. Right. Somebody had asked about communicating in Spanish, and we will have somebody who is fluent in Spanish available to assist with any applicants that do not speak English. So that will be made available.
These are all the same, pretty much, and
Okay.
got the information.
Are we? You got to wait for the phone call.
No, to be employed.
Oh, I was like, no, not tonight. Do you want a job? Well, we will be hiring sometime soon, and I don't really know what the staffing situation's going to be, but we can certainly post it out there, and everybody's welcome to apply. We love great people. Several people have asked about pets and the breed restrictions and deposits. Again, this is just very basic information at this point. We haven't quite ironed out all of the details on deposits, what the restrictions are going to be, but we are pet friendly. We are going to, our furry friends are furry family, so there will be pets allowed in the building. We just haven't ironed out the details on what the deposit structure is going to look like. And breed restrictions as well. Covered parking spots, I believe that this has not yet been determined. So that will be to come. Again, we're still trying to iron out details. We wanted to get out in front of you and give you as much information as we have, or answer as many questions as possible. I realize that it's very frustrating not to have all of the information. We function from that position as well too. So we're sharing what we know, and we will communicate everything as we have updates or when things are firmed up. So we appreciate your patience through the entire process. I do realize it is frustrating. Is income based on gross? Yes, it is. It is based on gross. And is the 2-bedroom unit available for a single person occupancy? Yes, it is. This is not, it's not limited. So if you're a single person and you're on the list and you want a 2-bedroom, you'll have the option of leasing a 2-bedroom home. Storage and garages, I don't believe that there's storage in the unit itself, but there will not be garages. Is there a website for future affordable housing developments? That would be through TDHCA. I don't have their website address, but that is certainly something that we can publish and get out to everybody. I think they just did awards yesterday. So there's some new things in the pipeline as of this week with the state. So a bunch of developments got a green light. I don't know exactly where they are or who they are or what the exact details are, but the state will publish that. Yes, ma'am.
I have one question. I live in the Merritt Senior Apartments by County Road 3 off. Is this property going to be like the Merritt, dog friendly and go from like 30%, 40%,
30, 50s, and 60s.
dog, I never thought, our was going to be living in or
We are
walk down the hallways without dog.
Well, I'm not familiar with that property. She's asking about the different levels of rent and the different qualifying. So we will have income levels based on a 30%, a 50%, and a 60%. That applies to the median income, and that's per the TDHCA published guidelines for maximum income. So there will be a mix. That is going to be a preferential thing. So when we contact you, we'll try and estimate what your gross income will be, and we'll get you into the home that will best meet your needs and be as affordable as possible for you. Regarding the pets, we will permit pets. It is going to, we pride ourselves on managing our buildings. I've had several buildings that had common space where pets were allowed, and what you're describing is more of a management issue of the pet owners and holding people accountable for following the pet rules and making sure that they're responsible pet owners. So that would be very important to me personally. I understand what you're saying, and that's going to be something that we'll pay very close attention to. That one's done. Somebody asked, how do you get a voucher for rental assistance? You would need to contact your local housing authority to apply for that. They generally have a wait list, or they open them for a small period and to accept applications for assistance. So that's not something you would do through us. That's something that you would contact your local housing authority.
Here's another voucher question, and no, I mean, they would have to contact San Antonio.
Okay. Here's another question about vouchers. Is Section 8 from San Antonio accepted, or is portability an option? That is something that you need to work with your agency in San Antonio to determine whether they would permit that or not. And there would be organizational cooperation required between the local housing authority and San Antonio. So you would need to work with whoever's managing your case for the voucher. Why so few general units for rental? Because it is a tax credit property, the primary reason for its existence is to have affordable units. So that's the reason why there aren't additional market rate units. It's not preferred. The state wants you to have an abundance of homes that are for the intended population. Market rate units are just kind of extra on top of that. So it's not a market rate development, or obviously there would be more. It's what? Okay. And then okay. Nope, I got it, thank you. There's a question, are the kitchen and bathrooms laminate and bedroom carpet? The kitchen will have vinyl plank, the bathrooms will have the vinyl plank, the bedrooms will have carpeting. So it is, and we actually just finished leasing up a deal down in the Rio Grande Valley. They're beautiful. So I can tell you, whatever's going to happen here, it's only going to be a step up, and it is going to be gorgeous. So that is the flooring option. Will the community be gated? That has yet to be determined. It is not part of the permanent scope of work at this time, so it's going to be something that the developers will make a decision on as we get closer. Will there be gas or electric? This is going to be an electric only physical plant. Yes, oh, thank you. Does HUD determine the rent increase every year? No. Rent increases are based on what the allowable rent is and what the market bears, and we cannot charge above a certain amount, but as far as rent increases, that is market driven. So as long as it doesn't exceed that maximum level, it can vary wildly. I don't feel like that'll be the case in this time because we're going to be starting out right where we should be, and those rates don't go up a significant amount any given year, but they do issue annual limits. Okay. Yes, the property will be gated, so yay. I'm breaking stuff. So that's good news.
There's going to be a designated smoking area, so they can't do it on the balcony.
Not on the balcony, not in the home, nowhere inside of the building. Right. I just want to make sure before I said something wrong again. Somebody was wanting to have clarification on the smoking policy. We do not permit smoking in the physical plant itself. So anything in the building, including your personal home, it is not permitted. There will be a smoking area designated for that.
Will there be walk-in showers for wheelchair accessibility? I don't know.
There will be accessible units. People ask.
Okay.
This is a touchy one.
Yep. I want to be very careful. If you don't make this cut, will you be rolled over to any?
Somebody had asked if they are further down on the wait list and the building fills, are you automatically going to be rolled over into any new development? We have no way of knowing if we're going to be doing another development at this time, so that's not really going to be something that would happen. Yes, ma'am.
So, getting the apartment qualified today, and 5 years you start collecting Social Security, and that puts you above the limit.
Because there are market units on the development, we're going to do a full recertification of your income every year. And what will happen is if you go over 140% of the 60% limit, you'll go into a market essentially. Yeah, so there's, 16 market units. So, once the market unit would come available or became vacant, then you would move into that slot. So that's reviewed every year.
16, 1-6, yes. I almost misunderstood her too. I was like, oh.
Not.
Yes, ma'am.
Now, clarification, you only have 16 market rate apartments.
Right.
All right, let's say I'm in a reduced rate, an IFC. Why can't I just stay in my own apartment and pay?
It's TDH. Well, you can. We can move the designations. You're not going to have.
You're not going to have to physically move. You'll get to keep your home. We just need to. She had asked why she would be required to move to a market rate unit if her income all of a sudden was 140% higher. And what we would do is we would switch the designation of the home itself. You're not going to be required to pack up and move. Yeah, that would be very inconvenient. And we're not in the business of taking people out of their homes. We're in the business of putting people into homes. So, yes, sir.
I have a question. The floor plan, it shows tub. Is there going to be
There's going to be 8 units that are ADA accessible. So those would accommodate a mobility impairment. This is a no. Will there be garages? Same. Answered. How many 2-bedrooms are there?
Is it not in there?
I think that's it. It looks like I've gotten through the majority of the question. Oh! Walk-in shower or tubs. That's going to be part of the ADA, so there will be mobility impairment units. They're going to be ADA accessible, and then the rest of them will have tubs. I'm sorry, I can't hear you. Hold on. Okay, sorry. Did anybody have any other questions? Okay, yes, ma'am. I believe there will be a shower rod, and you would have a curtain. Yes, ma'am. It'll be the tub shower combination. Yeah, it's not just a tub. Yeah. Right. No, there will be tubs. Yes, ma'am. Yes. It is a single building. There are common hallways. There are elevators that will get you to the 2nd and 3rd floor, and it is going to be a common area, so you're protected from the elements and the beautiful heat like today. Yeah, everybody enjoying that. Yes, ma'am. I'm sorry, I can't hear you. Oh, yes, there's a mix on each floor, and generally speaking, they mirror. It's the same floor plan and the same floor layout all the way up.
Yep. Are there in the whole building?
136 units. Yes. Yeah. Hearing impairment. Yes, somebody had asked about hearing impairment equipment and doorbell flasher, the fire alarm. Yes, there will be visual and hearing impaired safety features. Any other questions? Yes, sir.
Is this only one county residence? What if you live just over the line?
Oh, no, anybody can apply to live here. Yes, sir. This gentleman was asking if you have to be a current resident of the county or the city. No. If you're on the interest list and you happen to live in Houston or Austin or San Antonio or wherever, we're going to contact you in the same order, and you are welcome to come and take advantage and to move into our community. Yes, ma'am. I don't believe so, not at this time. A security guard? Yes, ma'am. We're targeting to have the income limits and rents and everything. Income limits will probably be published within 30 days. Rents, probably a little bit closer to when we're going to be making the initial calls. Along that line with the initial calls, those are probably going to be in October, so that you can kind of target the beginning of October for when we'll be initiating those. Yes, ma'am. I believe that's vinyl plank as well. I think it is just carpet in the bedrooms. I'm sorry? Yes, yeah, they'll all have the same finishes. Yes, ma'am. I do not. I love how educated everybody is. Yeah. Any other questions that I might not be able to answer? One bedroom, $675. No, I appreciate it. I don't have my handy Google available. 900 square feet for the 2-bedroom. I'm sorry? It was 600? 675. That's for a 1-bedroom. No, we'll get those dimensions out. I know that that's not on the website, I don't believe either at this time. So we're trying to build it right now and make it as robust as possible. But as this is the beginning of the process, so we're just now starting to really get engaged. So we'll try and push that out more aggressively. Yes, ma'am. I believe so. I believe that is something that we will be providing. Yep. Yes, ma'am. Unfortunately, I wasn't on the development team, and I would love to answer that question, but I don't have a good explanation for the mix of that. Right, that's an architectural.
It's state regulated. It falls within TDHCA's regulations.
Right, it does fall within the state regulations and what the state requires, but I understand your question. Yeah. Right. Well, evolution of development and design, it's
Repeat her question,
I'm sorry. Oh,
just so they can hear in the back.
the question was about the limited number of ADA units in a senior development. And, I just said that I was not involved in the development and the design process, so I can't really explain the thinking behind it. It does meet the state mandated requirement, and she does understand that. It was just a general question. I will say that the evolution of designing communities and sites has gotten considerably better with every single time. So this is all really good feedback, and things that we pass along for consideration for future things. Absolutely. And I appreciate that. Feedback is always important because that's what helps us grow and get better, and how we make things that are more usable and friendly and livable for our community and the residents that we serve. So I appreciate that feedback, and it's certainly something that everybody that is with the development partners, that they're listening. It'll be a mix, so there'll be 4 and 4. Yes, ma'am. The 900 square feet. Yes, ma'am. Yeah. We do require that they are in for the application intake appointment in person. We're not saying that people have to come to the appointment within 2 days. We're going to be calling people, and then we'll be giving you a location. We'll be giving you the time, the block of time when we're going to be doing that, and so you'll have some runway. We don't expect everybody to jump up and be there, although I don't know, this group kind of makes me feel like you might, so. It is either or. It is either or. It is completely inventory driven. It's an interest list. It's not broken up into what you initially expressed. We do track that. We have that information that we've kept. We do know what people have expressed as what they prefer and what you're looking for. And again, we're going to do our very best to accommodate those things. Yes, ma'am. Generally speaking, it's 2 people per bedroom. That's the guideline. Yes. I understand. Can we get your information and then we'll follow up with you?
That happened to me also.
Okay.
They told me that we were number 34, and I called back, they said, you're not on the list.
Okay.
Put them back on the list. And they told me, well, no, they're not yet. No, they're not yet. So.
We'll verify that for you. Were there different iterations at any time, or?
We don't give out what number you are.
Right.
So, I mean, if somebody asks me what number I am, I say you're in the top 50, you're in the top 100.
Yep.
But we never give out specific numbers. And I know I took it from her. And I put her back on from the date she said she called originally. So
Okay.
I'm giving her that kind of...
Right, that latitude.
Yeah, so if they call me, and they said I call back in October, I'm putting them on the list.
So could this have been, I don't,
A one...
how would they have gotten a number though? That's weird.
I can ask Lisa, but I've talked to everyone. It could have been that first...
That's what I'm talking about, the first wave.
Yeah, because that we had so many people working on it.
Yep.
I mean, we had like 4 different people.
Oh, if you don't have an email address, that's okay. I was just referring to anybody who does that we don't have that information yet, so we can blast it out to you.
Well, if that's a position that we are going to put in place, then you're more than welcome to put in a resume when we do that. I just don't know if that's going to be one. We don't have a staffing plan yet.
How that process is. Okay. Somebody had a question about contract services or routine maintenance of the building and possibly pest control concerns. Generally speaking, we do enter into an agreement with a fully licensed pest control company. We contact local vendors and proprietors to obtain bids for the service, and then we look at recommendations and we make a selection. The level of service or the type of service that is provided in each home, that varies depending upon the makeup of the building. So if you have, for instance, a large spread out community, oftentimes you'll focus on treating the exteriors of the building, and the units themselves would get sprayed preventatively once every 3 months. This is probably going to be, a bi-monthly service is when they would be hitting the apartments as far as pest control. There will be lawn care provided. Again, that is bid out to local vendors to keep the grounds immaculate and make sure that the curb appeal is beautiful, and that the lawn is mowed and you're not having. They'll do some pest control within the lawn system as well. As far as other routine services, I don't know that we have the plan of action on how we'll be caring for the common areas in the buildings and those kinds of things. Again, that's an iron out on the management side, so we're just going to be weighing our options and determining what the best way of making sure that the common areas are kept clean, and that the building is maintained to the highest possible standard. Okay, any other questions? I really appreciate everybody's coming out today. I know, again, it's very frustrating. I didn't have all of the answers, but we're so happy to have a presence in Cibolo and to provide this much needed community in your area. I think that we're going to have a wonderful resident base just based on the turnout here. You're engaged. You ask great questions. You want to be educated and informed, and that's what we want our residents to be. So thank you so much, and we look forward to being in touch with you, and hopefully we'll get to see you and fill out some paperwork. Thank you.
I'm going to ask this really quick, because that was a good question.
Okay. Do you want to?
I can.
Well, let's just do this. Yes, ma'am. I'm so sorry. Last July, I'm sure we will. If you want to leave